Hello everyone on the internet, Donovan Gaming here, and welcome to How to Make Undertale Animations on KineMaster, Updated Edition. Now, I've been wanting to remake this video for the longest time, but I've been working on other projects recently and haven't really had the time. I don't want to drag out this introduction too long, so I'm just going to list the table of contents that we are going to have in this tutorial on screen now. This tutorial is going to be structured a little differently from the last one. Instead of me making separate projects and animating everything separately, I'm going to be making a full little test animation for this tutorial. This will make it easier for the audience to follow along and make their own Undertale animations. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the tutorial. This is the screen you will see upon opening a fresh copy of KineMaster. Now, the way this screen looks may change and vary over time due to updates to the app, but the thing you should do here is hit the big Create New Project button. Once you hit the Create Project button, you will be taken to a screen that looks like this. This is where you pick the name of your project and the aspect ratio that you want your project to be in. While 16:9 works well enough, 4:3 is the actual aspect ratio for Undertale, so I would recommend you use that. This is the screen that will show up once you create your project. Now, I know this layout looks intimidating, but I'll show you all the steps it takes to make an Undertale animation. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is tap on the media button. This will open this little interface. Once you're here, tap on the image assets button. Once you're on the screen, hit the black paint button. This will make a black background for your animation. Once you've added your background to your animation, drag it out for as long as it needs to be. Now, you're going to want to hit media again, but this time hit the layer option. This is the part of the tutorial where we start setting up the UI for the battle interface. The first thing you're going to want to do is get an image of the buttons. Once you have this image in your project, click on the cropping button. Now you need to crop the image down to where it's just the buttons. Now you need to adjust the size of the buttons to be the right size. Once your 4 buttons are the right size, you're going to want to go to the layer option again, but this time go to screenshots. The Screenshots tab is where you'll find all your screenshots of your text boxes. I'll leave a link to the website I get the fonts from in the description. Once you've got your text for the LV, HP, and name, you're going to want to crop it out like you did with the buttons. Once you've done that, you're going to want to go back to image assets and get a yellow square. Next, you're going to want to crop it to be the right size. After you've gotten your HP bar, now you're going to want to go to layer and this time hit handwriting. Tapping handwriting will take you to this interface. The first thing you're going to want to do is change the color. You do this by tapping on the little red circle. Tapping on the circle will take you to this screen. This is where you choose what color you want your box to be. Since this is Undertale, the box will be white. This screen is where you choose what shape you want to use. Since it's Undertale, choose the box. Now it's time for you to actually make the box. You can drag your finger across the screen or drag your mouse depending on what platform you're on. Once your box is the right size, go back to downloads. Next, you're going to want to get the yellow sprite for the buttons. Once you have the sprites for the yellow buttons, you're going to want to crop out the fight option. Then you're going to want to shrink it down to be the same size as the previous button. Once you have your button in the right place, you're going to want to go back to downloads. Here, you will find one of the most important aspects of Undertale, your soul. Once you have the sprite of the soul, you want to shrink it down and then put it inside the fight button. After you've put your soul in the fight button, now it's time to go back to screenshots. This is where you'll find your text boxes. Again, link in description. Once you get your text that you want to use inside of your fight, put it into your project. Once you have your line of text inside of your text box, next what you're going to want to do is click on where your text is. And then you're going to want to click on in animation. Once you get to the different animations, you're going to want to scroll down to wipe right. Next, you're going to want to set the speed to 1.5. Next, you're going to want to get your sprite for who you're going to be fighting in your animation. Now, me personally, I'm going to use Versus Undertale himself, Sans the Skeleton. Now that we have our sprite in place for our opponent, now we're going to want to get to the actual fighting system. Next, you're going to want to get a screenshot of your character's name. Once the name of your character is cropped and in place, you're going to want to cut the sprite of your soul where the previous text ends. You're also going to need to take the sprite of your yellow fight button and also end it where the text ends. Now you're going to want to go back to layer. This is where you'll have your green screens and blue screens. You're going to want to get the blue screen for the fight interface. After you crop it out, you're going to want to go to the chroma key option. Then hit enable. Once your battle interface is the right size, you're going to want to go to layer and then go to where you have your green screens for the slash. Again, a link will be in the description. Now you're going to want to repeat the process of what you did with the battle interface, but you're going to want to put it over where your enemy is. Now this is where we get to start actually animating. Click on the key icon on the side of the screen. Once you get to this interface, you're going to want to hit this button to place a point. You're going to want to go slightly in front of this point and then place another one. Once you've placed the second point, you're going to want to move your character where you want it to go. Now you're just going to want to do the same thing you just did, but in reverse, and move the character back to their original position. Whenever the fight interface comes up, you're going to want to trim your soul and make it go down to where it was at the fight button. Once the fight interface goes away at the end of the green screen, you're going to want to split your handwriting and then edit it and make it a smaller square. Once you've done that, you can obviously see that Sans is clipping through the box, so you're going to want to get a black background and put it to where you can't see his legs anymore. Now, at the start of your black background in your new box, split your soul and put it inside of the box. Now, you're going to need to go get the attacks that are going to be used as green screens. So, for example, since this is Sans, we're going to want to get a Gaster Blaster. Now, you're just going to want to repeat the same process that you did with the fight interface. Now, you're going to want to resize your Gaster Blaster to be the right size, and once you have it in place, you have your own functioning Gaster Blaster. Now you're going to want to animate the soul the same way you animated your opponent, and make it move out of the way of the attack. You can also animate your own attacks instead of using green screens. I'm going to demonstrate. Here we have a knife, and yes, I know Sans doesn't use knives, but this is a tutorial and is not supposed to be accurate. Now you're going to want to go through the same process you went through to animate the other things, and make your attack fly at the soul. You also need to animate the soul to move out of the way of the other attack. And there you have it. This concludes the tutorial. I hope you guys found this at least somewhat educational. I tried my best to make this better than the previous tutorial, because the last one was a little long and everything kind of felt disjointed because of the fact that I did all the different steps in separate projects. So that's why in this tutorial, I decided to make everything in one project to make the thing feel more cohesive. Anyway, I hope you guys found this educational. I hope you guys have a nice rest of your day. Goodbye.